Here we are for another Somblock draft. This is an interesting first pick. It's a choice between Pith Driller, I think, and Tormentor Exarch. Those are the best cards in the pack. I honestly think Pith Driller might be a little bit stronger than Exarch, mainly because it doesn't commit you to a color. And the second reason is that it's got a bigger body and it's an artifact, so it can help with metalcraft. Here, I'm going to turn on my microphone real fast. Hopefully I can do this before. I have to pick. Okay. Alright, I just turned up my microphone for you guys. It doesn't commit me to a color. They might be going red if I take it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, it's interesting to note there's a core here, so I might be wheeling that. I'm going to just hurriedly take this since I was getting everything set up and the clock was ticking down. Here, it looks like Enslave is quite clearly the best pick. They took the rare. There isn't a whole lot left in this pack. I don't think we're going to get anything back. There's like, depending on what they're taking, I mean, I would expect to see like Talisman, Shrike, or Wellspring going next, since this pack isn't very deep. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so I mean, we're just going to wheel some crappy card out of here. Maybe Despise or something. But Enslave, as I said, is quite clearly the best pick, and I guess we wouldn't be too upset to get something like Mortis Dogs back if we're going into black. And here, Artillerize. I mean, we passed the Tormentor Exarch already. We do know that a Phyrexia's Core might wheel from our first pack. I think Artillerize is just the best card here. This is often great if we can get like Wellsprings later, and since Phyrexia's Core works well with Ichor Wellsprings, hopefully we end up getting like a Mycosynth's Wellspring wheeling the core. If we go ahead and take this, I think the other option here is Exclusion Ritual, but I really don't like playing black-white. I'd much prefer black-red, especially because like the double commitments in these colors, since you already have an Enslave. Nothing else really to note in this pack. I think just the Artillerize is the best card here, and it's actually a little bit easier to splash if we need to end up splashing something. Well, as everybody knows, I am a massive fan of Mind Cooling. I think the choices here in this pack are Blind Zealot, the Mind Cooling, and the Gremlin Mine for our deck. Like, Mind Cooling is an easy card to splash. It's a very powerful card. Right now our deck is looking pretty controlling. I mean, these three all remove something. I think Enslave is strong enough, and since we already have a semi-black card in Pith Driller, you can make an argument for just going ahead and taking the Blind Zealot here. But I think Mind Calling is so powerful on the splash that it's just worth grabbing at the moment and seeing where things go. Blind Zealot's not the most amazing card, and neither is Gremlin Mine, though they're both decent removal. This pack is overall kind of weak. Blinding Soul Eater is the best card, though it does require a white commitment. I don't really like Mortis Dogs all that much. In a more control, like it's best in like a beatdown, maybe black-red deck. So we could go ahead and grab him here. Something like Soul Eater might fit, like if we end up abandoning our Artillerize in a black-blue controlling deck that might splash for planes. And it is the best card, and since I'm not a massive fan of Mortis Dogs, I think I might just go ahead and take the Soul Eater here. I know it's kind of crazy taking cards in off colors, but like the dogs just isn't that powerful. It's not really something I want to be running. Well, here these cards are all weak enough. I think Guess Verdict is the best card. I mean, Enslave right now is arguably our most powerful card. If we're going like a black-red strategy, or even like a black-red splashing blue strategy, or even a black-blue splashing red strategy, we have a decent amount of removal already, such that the Verdict will combine well with that. I think it's that much more powerful than Vapor Snag that it's just worth grabbing here. None of these other cards are very appealing to me. It's interesting. Green again. Looks like it's probably underdrafted with those being open. Huh. Well, remember the Fallen is the most powerful card here. But let's see how that would fit into our deck. I mean, Volt Scourge is decent, especially since we might have a lot of life loss between Blinding Soul Eater and Pith Driller. And it's also colorless, so it would solve our problems if we ended up splashing. It would be able to be cast earlier. I think it's the right pick. I mean, remember the Fallen's a great card, but we're not necessarily white. We're definitely going to be going black this way. We can get a Morbid Plunder in the next pack if we're black that follows the same, you know, solves the same problems Remember does. So I think Volt Scourge is the right pick here. And wow, Entomber Exarch is incredibly good, and I'm amazed to see that it's still in this pack. None of these other cards are that impressive. I mean, green again, like it looks like the Infect deck's probably open for somebody here. We don't have any Infect guys, and these are more controlling cards that don't necessitate Infect, so we're probably not going to go that route. I mean, Entomber Exarch is quite clearly the pick here. Hopefully the guy we're shipping to ends up going like green-white Infect or something bizarre like that. It looks like white. It's interesting that we got the Soul Eater, what, like 4th pick? Because it looks like white's being scooped up here. So I wonder what they ended up taking over that. It also looks like red's probably being scooped up. So we might not end up seeing much more red, though it's good to keep that in our minds. Here, the Phyrexia's Course here and a Volt Scourge. I think since we didn't get any Wellsprings, and we're probably not going to get the one in the next pack, since that pack was so weak, I think just going ahead and taking the Volt Scourge here is correct. Again, it's easy to cast if we're playing a splash color. Yeah, I mean, it's just a generally easy to cast card in this situation if we end up going 3 colors, and helps recoup some of the life lost from the other things. I don't think Despise is that great of a card, but we're not playing green with what we have here. Like, this is definitely not an Infect deck that we have going. And I don't like black-green if we're not going Infect, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the Despise and let somebody else pick up that, solidify them in green by getting that late Deathside Cobra. The Destruction's fine as a sideboard card here, and actually is pretty decent black-red, where we're just kind of clearing everything out of the way and then going for a kill with something stupid like little Volt Scourges or just any random creature after everything's dead. Here, I guess Toxic Nim. Well, these cards are all kind of crappy. We're not playing white. So Nim probably is the best card. I'll just scoop up the Menial here. I'm going to hide the Dementia Bats. I'm going to hide the Nim too, because I just don't like that card. He's a little too slow for what he does, and he dies so easily to other Infect creatures. Regeneration's just not very good in this format with Infect around, especially on a 1 toughness body. Well, there's 3 cards. There's only really 2 cards we consider. The Sangromancer and the Corrupted Conscience. I think Conscience is strong enough that that's going to just move us into blue. We already have Mind Cooling, which is incredibly strong in itself, and 2 possible splashing cards. We see that there's a Wellspring in this pack. It might not come back to us. I mean, Sangromancer is very powerful, don't get me wrong, but I think Conscience is that much better. We'll see what we might end up wheeling here. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 playables. It's possible we end up with something like the Wellspring or the Flare Husk. If black is underdrafted, we might get the Plunder, but that's highly doubtful. I mean, they're going to take the Sangromancer over the Plunder if they're in black. So, but there's probably 2 black drafters out there, and this is powerful enough that somebody's going to take it. But we might end up with the Wellspring if it's just unwanted. And it's possible we could end up with something like the Serum Raker. Anyway, the Conscience is clearly the best pick. Here, Spread the Sickness. Just go in a Cursory Glance of the pack is, you know, above and beyond anything else in this pack, and I don't think we're going to wheel anything. There's really only like 1, 2, 3 cards that are worth mentioning. The other cards are fringe playables and Bladed Sentinel, Loxodon and Partisan, extremely fringe playables, and like the Rhino. I don't think Warzone is a playable in this format, but it is a card somebody might grab for a constructed Boros deck, so over maybe a card that they're not playing. So maybe we get like Vivisection, but highly doubtful. Here, I don't think Quicksilver Geyser is quite worth taking this early. It's a decent card, but it often comes back around. I don't think it's going to come back around in this pack. I think the pick here is Violent Wound. If we end up getting something that can proliferate, like a Contagion Clasp in the next pack, it's pretty strong. It also kills a lot of just the random small creatures in the format. It's a combat trick. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth taking in this spot. We're not really going an Infect route, so stuff like Core Prowler, I mean, both these guys, like, we don't have any Wellsprings to sack to this guy, so he's not very good. This guy's just pretty god-awful. Prowler, just not worth it overall. And again, the Quicksilver Geyser, I don't really like taking this early, especially with other higher drops. I think the Wound is quite clearly the pick. I'm going to go ahead and actually hide the Soul Eater for now. We might consider playing him depending on what we can get. I'm going to hide the Destruction, but we'll keep in mind that we have it. And I'm still keeping this around, though. We might be hiding it soon. Here, I think Rager is the best card. Nested Ghoul is okay, but Rager, I mean, it's just a little too slow. Rager just is automatic card advantage. If we can somehow get a Morbid Plunder in the next few packs, it's pretty great. Oculus fulfills the same kind of card draw advantage that Rager does, but Rager just trades better and gives you the card immediately, so it's that much stronger. There are, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, again, fringe playables. We're not getting anything out of this pack. Like Oculus is just, it's not going to come last. We're going to like Spiraling Duelist in a land or something. Well, it doesn't look like we're going to end up getting a Morbid Plunder, which is too bad. I am just going to go ahead and take the Spire Serpent here. We're not playing any of these other cards. Yeah, so this is just quite clearly the best card we can get for our deck. It's also a fine defensive creature. In our deck with the artifact count, I don't think it's going to be attacking, but I guess it can keep up the defense for us to get at Mind Cooling or Enslave. Right now, splashing this is looking pretty slim. Well, while Phyrexian Juggernaut's a good finisher, I think we're just going to go ahead and take the Plague Mirror here. Our deck really would like a mirror. I mean, it likes artifacts now that we got a Spire Serpent. Mirror's pretty decent. We can trade for something early and then get it back with the Exarch. And we do want to ramp our mana up to the bigger casting spells. In addition, now that we do have Spread the Sickness for Proliferate, I forgot to mention that with the Violent Wound. Just blocking, like, say, a 2-2 early, and then Violent Wound another 2-2, and then killing their biggest guy and killing the other creatures with the Proliferate's pretty amazing. So I think Mirror is definitely the pick. I do like seeing a Vivisection. I normally like playing one Vivisection in my decks. Especially when we got like the Exarch and other things. And we have some fast drops that we can give a Volt Scourge becomes kind of useless, staring down a bigger flyer later. Gets Vivisection away and we can find our answers. And since we do have strong late game cards and the Enslave and the Conscience, I think it's great to have a Vivisection just to get to those, to ensure that we get there. And again, none of these other cards are really worth playing for us. There might be a really aggressive white deck out there with all the Accorder Paladins, so luckily we have ways to trade with them early. This pack is just, I don't know, like Nurok Commando, we're not going to be able to really clear the way for him, I don't think. I'm going to go ahead and hide the Artillerize. Again, we'll keep it in mind that we have it. I think I'll just go ahead and take the Vivisection. Just to hate the card advantage for my opponents. I guess I could take something like Hexblade Golem as a finisher, but I think these are decent finishers in themselves, and I don't really want to put more high casting stuff in the deck. I think the Vivisection's fine to take here. The other creatures are just not strong. Well, we did not get anything back from our first pack, so no Wellspring. It looks like the one guy who's playing white is going to get hooked up with the Master's Call here late. We're just going to go ahead and take the Marron Spy. Probably not going to be played, but I guess it's possible if our creature count remains low. And apparently nobody is grabbing Vivisections at all. This was the pack that there were like the Viridian Emissary, the Vivisection, and there was one other card. The Morbid Plunder, perhaps? No, I think that was in our first pack. Like, this pack was so weak, I don't understand how this card's even here. Yeah, and this, again, this pack's just getting all the chaff. Actually, maybe that was this pack. I don't even remember. I'm getting lost with myself now that I'm talking. And talking kind of interferes with my thinking, I guess. I get a digester late. I guess nobody's really playing Infect. This is like the worst Infect creature, but it's not the worst creature in the world. In fact, if worst comes to worst, we might end up playing it. I mean, looks we have 18 cards showing right now. We're only playing one of these vivisections. There's no way we're playing more. And I guess just like talking about how it trades with something like the Plague Mirror, it's not that bad. With my Spread the Sickness. Well, this is a relatively weak pack for us. And it's got some excellent white cards. This, I think white's being underdrafted, so the guy who's playing white's going to get hooked up here. We might get something like the Thronegeth back, which again isn't horrible. We don't have a lot of artifacts, but we could end up picking up some. I think we're just going to go ahead and take the Moriok replica. Instill Infection might table. The replica is just the card, you know, I think we want card advantage at this point to get to our good cards. It works with the Exarch. It's an artifact, so it works with the Spire Servant. It's decent in our deck. And there are 1, 2, 3, I guess you could say 4, 5, 6, 7, and we kind of get more of the fringe, but 8, 9, 10. I mean, there's a decent amount of playables. Everything could go in a deck, even though, you know, Hellion, Sunchaser, Bleak Coven are kind of crappy. They could all fit in a deck, so we might wheel something like the Bleak Coven if we necessarily need a creature. Or hopefully like the Thronegeth. Another fairly weak pack for us, unfortunately. I think Plague Stinger. We don't really have enough artifacts yet for the Lumengrid Drake, and that guy often wheels. I think Plague Stinger is fine as an early drop, just to provide some defense. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take him. I think he's a little bit better since he flies than the Ichor-Clawmere. And he often, like, if our opponent played one or the other against us, I'd rather him be playing the Ichor-Clawmere because Plague Stinger can block that instead of vice versa. Wow, another fairly weak pack. I mean, Rustic and Fume Spitter are both solid cards. I think the Rustic is slightly better because it's an artifact and works with our Spire Servant, and because it can lock down a bigger, more important card later, perhaps. We're not going to wheel anything from this pack, unfortunately. Well, again, maybe the Lumengrid Drake, but I mean, if we pick up enough stuff like Rustic, we might actually have a decent artifact count for him later on, so that could be nice. Fume Spitter does work with all the Proliferate stuff, so there could be an argument for taking it, especially if we could end up wheeling the Thronegeth, but I think Rustic is the pick here. Thrumming Bird, I think, now that we got some Infect guys, I'm gonna just go ahead and take the Thrumming Bird, I think. Gold Meter is decent. We have the Soul Eater in our sideboard, so there could be an argument for taking that, but I think now that we have some of these Infect guys, I think Thrumming Bird's not bad in terms of how it interacts with everything else, so I think I'm going to go ahead and grab it. Maybe the Deus will come last. This card's often underdrafted. We might even get one of the Spell Bombs late. I mean, there's going to be 4 cards left in this pack. It'll probably be something like Archer's, Meltrain, Golem's Heart, and Mountain, but it's possible we get one of these other ones. God, these packs are just awful for us. I mean, maybe we just had bad signaling getting past Enslave and Mind Calling, and they just moved right into black after. I really don't know. I mean, the late Exarch. It's amazing we're not seeing any black cards after seeing like an Exarch that late. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take... And it's between the Flight Spellbomb and actually Steady Progress, perhaps. I think the Progress is going to come later. I don't see myself taking Reaver now. We might get something interesting later, like the Halt Order or the Reaver or the Progress. So I'm going to go ahead and just take the Spellbomb for the moment. I don't understand how there's a corpse card here. I like the Scudder best for our deck. It's like we have a few infect guys, so the corpse card could be okay, but he's not going to be our main route to victory. I think the Scudder just provides, while it costs us life, provides a more solid route to victory here. The corpse card does provide solid card advantage with things like Vivisection. This is actually a tough call now that I picked up these other infect guys. But no, I think I like the Scudder best. I just do not know what's going on here. I mean, we'd like to have one of these mirrors, but I think Perilous Mirror's clearly the best card. I mean, I wish some of these guys were spread out in the other packs. Yeah, I mean, Perilous Mirror is pretty awesome with, like, Vivisection. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have to really say much about him. He's a pretty amazing card. Provides that early defense and trades just one or two things. Still Infection or Snap Cell Glide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artifacts. Probably not wanting to play the Digester. I think Instill Infection is just a little bit better. Well, here is the first pack back, and you'll notice the Throne of Geth came back around, as did Bleak Coven and Solanton. So now we have a real choice. I think now that I got like Instill Infection, I'm just gonna go ahead and take the Throne of Geth. I think it offers a better controlling value than these other things, and maybe we get the Cooling Day Hit Slate. We'll just cross our fingers and see if we can grab that. I'm gonna take this since we can use it as possible sideboard, and it's good against us since we have two mind control effects. Don't see us playing any of these, but maybe the Accorder Shield. Well, we'll take. We have so many 2-drop creatures, I don't see us playing Drawsaw, but we'll take the Steady Progress. Yeah, we did not get the Deus, unfortunately. And I wonder if the Throne of Geth draft there was correct. I think we have enough little counter things that it probably is. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Could have been better to take like Solanton just for the body and the artifact. Since we're gonna have to end up cutting some of this stuff as it is. Like Steady Progress is quite clearly a cut. Deciding if I want to run just 26 land. I mean, we have 5 cards that are basically over 5 casting cost, and we have 1 mirror, and we have a solid amount of like these are 1-drops actually, so we really have 4 1-drops, and we have some card draw in the Vivisection. We don't really have anything that we're gonna be routinely sinking our mana into each turn, so I think it might be okay. To go down to 16 land, though if we do go down to 16 land, there could be an argument for maybe taking out just like Flight Spellbomb and playing 17 land. The Flight Spellbomb does combo well with like Throne of Geth if we choose to play it here. We'll look and see what we got going. I wonder if something like Steady Progress is just going to be better than Throne of Geth, since it draws us a card with the effect instead of actually it removes the card with the effect. With what we got, I don't think we're going to be playing like Blinding Soul Eater. I'm debating if we want to play the Digester here. Though he's not bad with the Throne. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 artifacts. And how many things work with counters? This gives a counter, this gives a counter. This gives a counter. This gives a counter, and this gives a counter. So we got some decent proliferate effects. So if we don't have anything like Tumble Magnet, we didn't get the Dais. The only thing we really want to be sacrificing would be like this to draw a card when we do it itself, I guess, to do it. Or the Perilous Mirror. But Perilous Mirror is often better in different situations. So I think we'd rather play like the Steady Progress. I think this isn't a bad idea because it's getting us closer to our more powerful spells, and it's serving that purpose of actually killing off their random little dudes with the tokens. I think like if we play this, we'd want to be using it more than once, and there's not really enough that we want to sacrifice to use it that many times. So I think the Steady Progress is just going to be stronger. I think I'd rather play Steady Progress than like the Digester or the Soul Eater, which we don't have white for. I really don't think we can run 2 Vivisections. Well, this deck looks okay to me. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks like I'm just going to run 17 land here. And hopefully just out-card advantage them. I mean, we got Answers to Bombs with the Enslave and the Conscience and Spread the Sickness. And we got random answers to little creatures and the Instill, the Pith Driller, the Wound, hopefully the Verdict, and then just the Proliferate. We got answers to some artifacts, the Rustics, so I think we can be okay. Yep, I am going to go with this. Looking at the mana base, I'd probably rather have some more swamps than islands. So I think, but I mean, we're going to want to make sure we have, like this blue early is even fine with that guy. And Vivisection will help us draw out of it sometimes, so I think might end up just wanting to play 9-8. I think they'd probably suggest 10-7 though. 11-6. Actually, we're going to go 10-7. I think that's probably a little more stable since we're looking for black early. And most of the stuff that yeah, I mean there's a lot of there's more double black than there is double blue. I don't foresee us running into many mana problems in this deck though at all. And I will see you for round 1.